Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stampin' Chat Live. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Today, we're going to have some fun. We're going to be playing with rubber bands. Now, I've done a couple of different videos with rubber bands, but I thought I would combine a couple of the different techniques, and hopefully we can get 2 cards made today. I want to show you how to use rubber bands with a simple brayer, and I also want to show you how to use them with an acrylic block. Not everybody has a brayer, so there's a couple different ways that you can do this. So it is great to see all of you. Before we get started, shall we say hello to Tom? Hey, Tom.
Hey, everybody. Happy craft-afternoon.
How are you?
I'm great. Boy, rubber bands. That was fun, as I remember, back in those days when I was up there with you.
Yes. Did you do a rubber band video with me?
I think I may have, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that was back when we were in the heat of it, working out of our dining room.
Yeah, that could bring me out from behind the desk. That rubber bands, for sure, is fun.
Well, it sure was fun. Did we do it with a brayer?
I don't think the last time I did it with a brayer, no. But no, I think it was with blocks.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to kind of bring that technique back to the forefront again, because a lot of times these techniques, even though they're oldies but goodies, we either forget about them and we forget how much fun they are, or if we have newer crafters, and we have lots of newer crafters with us, these are old techniques that they haven't seen before. So we're going to do some of that today. And you have a word of the day later?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. We don't want to disappoint anyone. All right, well, let's get started right away and talk about what we're going to do. So I have a bag of rubber bands here, and these, I just picked these up at, I don't know, Walgreens. You want to go to the overhead? I just picked these up at like Walgreens. You could pick them up at an office supply store, anything like that, and they're assorted. So there's all different sizes in here. And that's what you want. You want a lot of different sizes. Okay, it looks like somebody's out there trying to share our video somewhere, but it's kind of weird the way they're doing it. So I think Tom is working on that if you see any weird comments coming up. So what I've done is I have a brayer here. And if you've never used a brayer before, let me just show you what else they look like. So there are brayers like this one. This is a speedball brayer, and they come with different attachments that you can put in them. So this is a rubber attachment. It's squishy, it's soft, and it can be used like a rubber stamp. So if you have this attachment in there, you can ink this up and you can ink over your projects and use it that way. I do not recommend putting rubber bands on this kind of brayer, this kind of roller. This roller is made of rubber, and if you put rubber bands on there and you put them on nice and tight, it's going to leave dents in your rubber brayer. So what you want to do is pick up an acrylic attachment if you want to do the roller technique. And then you can use this for other things too, but it's great for wrapping. You can wrap bubble wrap around this, like a thin layer of bubble wrap. There are other techniques you can do with it too, with paints, thicker paints and things like that. But it just snaps right in, and then you can use this as a rubber stamp. Remember the old stamp wheels that we used to have that were made of rubber? Well, this is kind of the same thing. All right, so I'm going to put this one back. But yeah, they do come off. And there's also other attachments. I don't know exactly what attachments there are, but there might be a textured one that you can get from a Brayer too. I don't know if the big box stores have the attachments. I think I have seen in some of the big box stores like a set where you get the handle and then you get 3 different rollers. So I would look around and see who has what, you know, to see how you want to do it. Now there's also the acrylic block method. Let me put this away. The acrylic block method is fun because you can wrap your rubber bands around the acrylic block kind of haphazardly like this, but I like using this to create plaids. This is really a lot more fun. So when I do plaids, I pick a couple of different sizes of rubber bands, some of them, but I try to go with rubber bands that are kind of the same thickness. So what I mean by that is some rubber bands are super thick and others are kind of thin. You see, I'm talking about like if you look at them from the side view. So I try to find ones that are similar in thickness, like this one. This one might work. And let's see. I'll try to find one more. This one might work. And then I try to do them so they're different thicknesses this way too. You see how this is a real skinny one, this is a medium one, and this is a real fat one. So I'm going to try those 3 and we'll see. So what I'm going to do is, and I like using our long acrylic block for this because the grid lines help you line up the rubber bands so that they're kind of straight. Now this rubber band is kind of big. It's kind of loose on there. Let me see if I can find one that's that thickness that's not quite so loose. I might not be able to, but I've got so many in here that I should just, this one will work here. Okay, so you see I've got 3 different thicknesses here, and this one's a little bit smaller. I like it to be a little tighter on the block so it's not kind of loose and flopping around. Okay. So you see how I put that on there? You can straighten it out a little bit, kind of follow the lines on the block. So there's one. And then I'll put a fat one on next. Now be careful, don't slap yourself with these because that can hurt. There's a second one. And then this third one is super skinny. So I'm going to put that one right here. Now, the one thing I want to tell you about this is you do want to make sure that the rubber bands are flat. Make sure that they're not twisted around. But yeah, I bought these at Walgreens. Just this big bag of rubber bands at Walgreens. They have them everywhere. They have them at Target. They have them at Walmart. They have them at your local office supply store. I'm sure if you can't get out, you could find them on Amazon. But they have them everywhere. But just make sure when you order rubber bands or you buy rubber bands that it's an assortment pack of sizes because you want the different sizes. This one I did get at Walgreens and it just says 8 ounces of assorted size rubber bands made of non-toxic rubber. Okay. So yeah, so some of these techniques are new to you guys. That's great. I'm excited to hear that. I think it'll be a lot of fun. They're everywhere. The rubber bands are all over the place. And I'm just sticking them back in the bag. And they were loose all in my drawer. So I'm going to use a rubber band to close the bag of rubber bands. How's that? There we go. Okay. So now we've got the Brayer loaded up, and I don't want to take these off because I kind of like where they are on here. Oh, I might as well. I might as well show you what to do, okay? So when you have your Brayer, you can clean that off of there if you want with a little stamp cleaner, but it's not going to hurt anything if it leaves a little residue on your Brayer if you're using it for the rubber band technique. So you want to get a couple different rubber bands here, a couple different sizes. So here's kind of a medium flat one. And you want to wrap these around your Brayer with the least amount of twisting. And when I say twisting, you want to twist them, but you don't want to have it look like that. You see, you want to kind of flatten it out as much as you can. If it has one little twist in it, it's fine, like there and there, but try to make sure that it's not all completely twisted. This is just a fun technique to play with. I really enjoy this technique and I love the way it looks. All right, now I'm going to go with a skinnier one and I'm going to mix that in with this one. And I've got a little bit of twisting on that one, but that one might not be so bad. Let's try to flatten that out a little bit. You're going to have some twisting, and that does add to the technique. So don't get me wrong. It's not a bad thing. And let's do one more thick one over here. I do kind of want to, there. And we'll do a skinnier one down here near the bottom.
I think you might have some viewers who have never seen a brayer before.
Oh, really? So a brayer is great because you can use it for paint. You can use it for pastes and things like that. It's just a great fun way to roll different types of media onto medium. Is medium or media? Media is plural, right?
Yes.
Okay, different types of media onto your... Tom was an English major, and I would have stood here and said mediums because that feels better to me, but I know it's wrong because I married an English major. Okay, so I've got these twisted around a little bit, and it's okay that there's some twisting, and I like the crisscrossing. See how some of them are crisscrossed on there? We can maybe crisscross these two a little bit. Oh, they are crisscrossed back here. Okay, good. All right, and then once you have your rubber bands on there, then you just pop it right into your brayer. Okay. And then once you get them set, if this is the only technique you do with your acrylic brayer, just leave the rubber bands on there. The language boss, yeah. Okay. Let's start with the acrylic block. So I've got a piece of Gina K Designs layering weight cardstock, and I'm trying to do some simple cards today where I don't have to do a lot of die cutting and stuff like that because I really want to focus on the technique. You can find brayers at art supply stores. You can find brayers at big box craft stores. You can find brayers at your local scrapbooking stores, your brick and mortar stores. You can find them at Simon Says Stamp. You can find them at lots of different places. My favorite one is the Speedball just because it has the different attachments. So, okay. So I think I'm going to use some of the ephemera today. This is the watercolor ephemera. And then I cut out a bunch of flowers from one of my other videos that I did. So I might use some of those today. This way we're not focusing too much on the flowers, but more on the technique. All right, let's get started. So I want to make a very simple plaid background. And I think I'm going to use some browns and some greens for this. So let me find, I think fresh asparagus would be a good color, and maybe some warm cocoa. I think these two colors might be nice to go along with some of these flowers from Radiant Roses. So I did these in a quick technique video last week when I was away, and I used Tangerine Twist and Red Hot around the edges to make them glow. So I'll probably use these flowers for this card, and I did a bunch of extras just because it was fun and I was having a good time. So I'll probably use these for the card. Got a bunch of them here. There we go. Maybe I'll use this too. I die cut. This was from our, oh gosh, our Scripty Quartet, that new die set that we have. So maybe I'll use that as well. Okay. I also have this from Radiant Roses. And this is from the Happy Duo. So maybe I'll use some of these little, oh, you guys can't see that. I'm really sorry. Here we go. So these are, Sorry about that. So these are the flowers that I did. And then here is the Hello die from the Scripty Quartet. And this is the Happy die from the Happy Duo. So I did some inking on there and cut those out. So I might use these. I'm just going to get these out of the way though. And I wanted to make sure that these colors would look good. All right. So I'm going to start with fresh asparagus. And I'm going to ink up my rubber bands. Now I want to consider these a stamp. Okay. So these are rubber, just like a rubber stamp. So the ink will adhere pretty well. However, it's not going to be as smooth as a stamp. So it's going to give you a little bit more of a textured look, which is kind of fun. And I'm going to ink this up just like it was a stamp. See, I'm inking that up and I'm just going straight down on it, trying not to get it on the acrylic block. And it's going to have a more rustic look, but it's going to be really pretty. The first time, just like any rubber stamp, you know, you want to make sure you get a good impression. And I'm going to start right here, just stamping that and put pressure all over, give it a second to transfer. And then if it didn't go completely, you can do it again. And you could kind of see where, sorry if my head gets in the way there. But I'm going to put a little more pressure down here into this. See if that works. This rubber band might be stretched a little more, so it might be more shallow. All right, let's do another one here. And we can go back over those, and I'll show you what I mean at the end. But I just want to get my lines where I want them. So I'm not worrying too much about that middle one. I'll show you how to fix that. But these are coming out nice and dark.
Couldn't you reposition that middle one?
I can't. Well, it's because it's stretched really far that it's flatter than the other ones.
Well, that's what I mean. Just kind of re-stretch it. Just kind of redo it on there.
Well, it's stretched. That's the problem. It's still going to be the same thickness no matter where I do it. So it's just going to stay really stretched. So when you stretch it, it gets flatter than the other ones that aren't stretched as much.
All right.
So you can't really, moving it isn't going to change how much it has to stretch around the block. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just sending my thoughts and Brayers.
It's okay. I'll show you how to fix it in just a minute. We're going to fix it at the end after we do the crisscross. Okay, so we're kind of creating a plaid here. I know it doesn't look perfect, but hang on. We'll just finish that off. Okay, now I'm going to clean this with my tidy towel, so it's going to squeak. That's all right. And now I'm going to use that second color, which is the warm cocoa, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Okay. So I'll put one there. Ooh, I think this would be a really fun kind of masculine card background. And the reason why it's not all working well is because, like I said, that one is stretched more, but it's a real easy fix. So I'll show you how to fix it in just a minute.
Might be a good combination, Packers Jets card.
Oh my gosh. I don't even want to talk about Aaron Rodgers leaving the Packers, but you know, I don't know. All my New York friends get to have him. Maybe they don't want him. I don't know. That's been the buzz around here, right? All the talk of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, they'll have fun with them.
Yeah, I'll be watching. I'll be rooting for him. I don't want to see him fail. The only time I want to see him fail is if he's playing the Packers. Okay, and we're going to add one more just up here. Okay, now I'll show you how to fix that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take those two end ones off.
Whoa.
And now we can go back and we can just go right over those lines to thicken them up. And that should be easy enough to see.
Unknown color.
See how that works? Sorry if my arm is in the way. So it's pretty easy just to fill it in. And I just love how it's kind of like, it almost has a little bit of a wood grain feel to it. So it's got a nice, I don't know, it's got a nice texture to it. I could put one there too. Okay, now we're going to clean that and we're going to go back and we're going to finish the fresh asparagus ones. Football from Gina and Tom. Yeah, it's like football. Good morning, football here. We're talking about it. All right. So that looks better, huh? You could do these separately too if you wanted, where you just do the big strip first. It really depends because it depends on the rubber band. Each rubber band is different. They're not made, rubber bands, there's not a whole lot of precision in the rubber band making process. So some of them will fit perfectly and you'll get a great, you know, impression the first time. And other ones, you know, some will be more shallow and some will be more thicker, more thick. But you can see we're kind of filling that in a little bit. Okay. I could do those again, just more in the middle there. But we're not even going to see that because our floral design will go on top. Okay, so there's a little plaid design that you can make using rubber bands. Let's clean this off. And then you could keep these rubber bands or you can toss them. You can do new ones each time to see if you get a better impression. Now I'm going to cut this out using Master Layouts 2. So I'll get those two dies and I'm going to cut it out. That's why I wasn't too worried up around the tops.
So Gina, when something goes unexpectedly while you're crafting, do you most often go with it, or do you have to throw it away sometimes, or how does that work?
Oh, I've thrown a lot away. My trash can runneth over. But, you know, not everything. Part of crafting is just crafting. It's not necessarily that you always have to accomplish something. Sometimes it's just trying stuff that's fun. So, yeah, not everything works. And I do throw a lot of things away. But other things that don't work sometimes still look really good. And it's something I wouldn't have thought of on my own, you know, the happy accidents. So, Misty, there are tons of videos for the master layouts. I use them all the time in different videos. So if you type in on my channel, you search Master Layouts 2 or Master Layouts 3. I always list them in the description. So the videos that use that particular master layout set will come up with a search on my channel. So of course, I'm going to use some black. If you go to the website, as far as Master Layouts goes, if you go to the website, you can actually see all of the measurements when you click on the Master Layout set. So that tells you, you know, what they would measure up to be. It is a lot of experimenting. That's what's fun about crafting. So I just did the Master Layouts 2. Now look how fun that background is. Isn't that just so cute? Now this is a darker, deeper background, and maybe that might be too dark and deep for you. if this is really a super fun background for Easter cards, because if you use like real light purples and light pinks and yellows and really pale greens like apple mint, lovely lavender, lemon drop, colors like that, it makes the cutest little plaid background for an Easter card where maybe you have a bunny stamp or something like that. So baby cards, plaids are great for baby cards. So this is just a really fun way to do it. Yeah, this piece left over would be good for a frame, wouldn't it? I kind of cut it out. I nailed it there, didn't I? That was dumb luck. That's what that's called. But I decided to go with a little bit more vibrant color so it's easier for you guys to see. And, you know, sometimes it's fun to see what things look like in those deep, dark colors. Alrighty, let's adhere these two panels together. And then I think this whole thing will probably just go on a white card base because this is a lot of color here. And then we'll just add some of those flowers that I had in this mix. But we'll put like a grounding panel on here. And I've got lots of these ovals cut out. I cut out tons of these double-stitched ovals, which I love using as grounding panels. We don't always have to do ovals. We can do rectangles, squares, circles. But there's something about having that oval on there that it allows you. I almost turned the camera off trying to zoom in. That would have been fun, right? It really allows you to kind of lay out your flowers on there and create a really pretty little layout. Maybe I'll do an extra rose in there. We'll see. But I love this layout for flowers. I know you see me do it all the time. I love the big, medium, and small flower. And I love adding the leaves in there. One leaf up here might be enough. Maybe even one up here. Like that. So that's kind of a nice layout. And then we could do anything. We could use the Radiant Rose greeting from the Radiant Rose bundle. We can use this hello instead and pop that on there. We could use happy hello, but this might be a little bold for this card. But you can see different ways that you can use this, right? So we'll assemble this card because we're going to give it away. So I'll put it all together, and then we're going to play with the brayer. So that's just a fun background. I'm really excited to see what you guys do with these rubber bands. Okay. We'll get that right in the middle. And then we're going to put that on a tent fold white card. So I need to get my big tonic paper cutter out because I want to cut it this way instead of this way. So I need the bigger paper cutter. Welcome, everyone. It is great to see all of you here today. We're so happy to have you for this crafternoon. I know there's so much else going on right now on the internet, so we are honored to have you here with us. We appreciate you making time. Okay. Yeah, I have lots of mishaps when I make cards. And I have an entire trash can full. See, I like that. That really makes everything pop when you put it on the white card base. The ovals are from our double-stitched and single-stitched ovals. So the double-stitched ovals and the single-stitched ovals work together to create the shadow layer. You can use them alone as single ovals. One has a double stitch, one has a single stitch, but if you mix them together, I designed the single stitch ones to be 1/8 of an inch bigger. So they can be used for the same things, but they also work together to create the little shadow layer. All right, so we'll pop these on there. which will be cute. Let's do this one here. Sometimes I do the greenery first, but I'm only putting the tape in the center of the flower, so I think it'll be fine. And this isn't about the flowers. This is definitely about the brayer today, or the rubber bands today. So there we go. And you know, I said, oh, this is great for masculine cards, and then I'm putting flowers all over my cards. But I also think that flowers can be for masculine cards. I know many gentlemen who love to garden and love their beautiful flower gardens. So no reason you can't use them for guy cards too. Slip that in there. And then we'll add one more up here. Kind of looks like it's coming out for that rose up top. There we go. And then I'll just use this little thankful for you greeting. We could put it here, kind of offset it a little bit. I think that would look just fine. Just offset it coming off the oval a little bit. Make sure it's straight. And you can see that's just a quick card with that plaid background. Yes, Tim's new paper trimmer is on its way to me. I'm very excited about that. Yes, I can't wait. Yeah, all Tonic makes all of those tools for him, and they're great. And I know it's a different style than my trimmer. It's got a wheel instead of a guillotine style, so I'm going to give it a try. So there you go. Isn't that kind of fun? Something a little bit different. It's not perfect, but it's just fun. And if you felt like, oh, you know, I would have liked another line there, or it's too close, just make a bunch of them and figure out how you like to do it the best. Okay, I'm going to put this card aside. We're only halfway through the live today, so I've got plenty of time to make the next one. Now, for this one, I'm going to try something a little bit different. I am going to try using embossing powder. So this way, we can do some ink blending on this as well. Okay, so I'm going to use my embossing magic pad first. And then I am going to use this brayer. And let me get my heat tool. I got to get a few things set up here. I'm definitely going to use gold for this. And I need to get my heat tool out. A technique for laying out my flowers and leaves. Well, I like to always have just like a quick design thing here. I always like to have two flowers that face in different directions. And then I always like to have a small flower that kind of protrudes out the top area. And even like in a card like this one, where it's kind of a different orientation, I always like to have these flowers facing in different directions and then having one just a little bit higher. So that's a great start, and then kind of just fill in your leaves around the perimeter. See on this one has, I did that with foil. That was in my Foil It Friday card, but I alternate the flowers looking in different directions, and then I always have one a little bit higher in each, section, but mostly at the top. So, oh, I know, Mary, that's so exciting for me. I am getting close to 200,000 subs. Very exciting. Alrighty, let me dig through my drawer here and find a little folded piece of cardstock. I have one right here. So now we're going to use some VersaMark ink. You can use any embossing ink. But the real trick with this is, so our tendency when it comes to rolling is we think of it like rolling latex paint, right? So we want to go like this. And that is not what you want to do. You do not want to go up and down. And here's why. Because you're going to have ink all over this brayer. And if you just do this, you're only taking the ink off of here. And it's just not going to work. So what we want to do is we want to ink up the entire brayer And then when we roll, we want to start at the top of the cardstock and just go in one direction all the way down because we want to release the ink completely from around the entire brayer. So when you ink, you also don't want to go like this because you're only inking that small spot. So what you want to do is you want to squish your brayer down on that VersaMark and you want to turn it several times to get the ink onto the brayer. And don't forget to do the entire brayer because you want to get all the rubber bands. Now again, this is not going to be perfect. It's not a rubber stamp. There's going to be little breaks in these lines, but that's kind of what's fun about the look of this. Okay, so I think we've inked it up pretty well. And now we're going to start at the top here and we're going to just run it right down. Okay. Now I can see, I'm going to turn it because I'm going to go in the opposite direction and I'm going to do it again. I know you guys can't see that, but I can see it because Watermark ink leaves a little kind of a watermark on there. And I'm going to go over it again in this direction. This way I have dark at the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to do it again. Again, I continue to turn while I pull just in one direction to get it all over the brayer. And then I'm going to go down on this little empty side and I'm going to do the same thing again. And I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to go down here one more time. Okay, now once I've got that all on there, I'm going to put my gold embossing powder on there. Isn't that fun? Look at that pattern. Isn't that cool? All right, I'm going to blow away the excess. Now, it does look like kind of a hot mess, and it is a hot mess, but we are not done yet. So let's first go ahead and get my heat tool out here. Get my heat tool. All right. I'm going to heat it up a little bit before I get started, just so that I don't warp the paper too much. Okay. And then I'm going to heat this up. Ooh, so pretty. Such a random, fun pattern. All right, it's getting there. It's kind of thick. Some of these lines are pretty thick, so it takes a second for the embossing powder to completely melt. But it's so beautiful. This would be a really nice background for a 50th anniversary card. Or if you did it in silver for a 25th. Okay. If you can't get rubber bands on your brayer, could you use a rolling pin? Yeah, I would try that. Definitely try a rolling pin. And I know some rolling pins, they make little tiny ones. I saw some really cute little ones at IKEA. Yeah, this kind of looks like streamers coming down. Now we can also go in the other direction if we want to make more of a crisscross. And I think I'm going to do that just because I can. So I am going to use a little bit of embossing magic just to make sure that I've gotten any oils or anything that's on my skin. And again, in one direction, we're rolling the brayer in one direction and moving right across the entire thing. So we're catching all the rubber bands all around. Don't go like this because you're only going to get one side of the rubber bands. Okay, so this one, I'm going to start here like that. Do another one. Same thing on the other side. Now we are going to cover some of this again because I'm going to use a grounding piece, but that's okay. It's still going to look pretty. And I'm going to soften it quite a bit by doing some ink blending over this. So it's not going to be quite as dramatic, although it is very pretty. And I don't know that it's bad if it's this dramatic because I like it. Let's just see what this looks like going the other way. And if you are tempted, you can always do a two color where you do silver going one way and gold going the other way. That'd be fun too. Looks like pickup sticks. These are also really fun to do in multicolors for like birthday cards. So I'm only doing the embossing to show you you can. But if I had done this in like passionate pink, like a real bright pink and real bright primary green and purple, it would make a really fun kid's birthday card because it does have the look of streamers. But I also really like the elegance of just the gold or just the silver. You could also do this with white and then do emboss resist. So you ink over it and then everywhere that is white, you know, the white embossing powder will stay white. I should use the clothespin, but isn't that just so fun and messy? So cute. So remember, rubber stamps and rubber bands are both rubber, so that's why this works, because the ink adheres to it really well. Yeah, the shine is super fun. I didn't catch everything, so I'm just going back to make sure that I've got everything embossed. But yeah, super fun shine. And now we'll put a little bit of ink on that before we add it to our card. So I want to get my heat tool out of the way because it's very hot. And then I want to be careful with ink blending that I don't use this piece of paper because it's got embossing magic all over it. And that's kind of gritty. And I don't want to get that gritty stuff on my ink pad or on my blending brushes. So I've got another one here that I can just use. Okay. All right, so now we're going to determine what color to use. So I wanted to use some of the watercolor ephemera here, and I love these pieces. I think that they're really beautiful. I don't know what I have. Let's see. I'll dig around. Oh, these, I like that. Pretty. I need some leaves. Oh, that's pretty too. So if you haven't seen our watercolor ephemera, it's beautiful. You get a pack of stuff to play with. It's all pre-cut and ready to go, which makes it really nice and really fun to whip up quick cards. I like this one because it kind of plays off the gold. So I'm just looking for a few more green pieces here. So Tom, while I'm looking through this ephemera, do you happen to have a word of the day today?
Oops. Whoops.
Where'd I go?
Losing control back here.
We're all in the dead space now.
To think of a word of the day for that. Yes, word of the day. Today's word of the day. So, it's cooking word of the day.
Cooking?
Yes. Cooking mishap word of the day.
Uh-oh.
So, if you're making breakfast and you're making omelets, an omelet is fun.
You make omelets all the time.
Yeah, and I experiment sometimes and put some different things into an omelet. But if you cross that line and just put things, just one thing that doesn't go, or you put one too many things, you go from having an omelet to a vomlet with a V, unfortunately. So that's the word of the day, the vomlet, the unfortunate vomlet.
All right, so, oh my goodness. So the vomelet. So I am going to, I just grabbed a bunch of these leaves and flowers. I don't know what I'm going to use yet. So I need to pick a color for my background. I think I'm going to pick a couple different colors. I'm going to make it kind of soft. So let's start with a little bit of craft. And let me find a blending brush that's going to work. Now this is my brown blending brush, and I may have some brown on here. Yuck. Scrambled. So I'm going to just brush off any brown that's on this brush. Boy, Tom, got a reaction from that one.
Yeah, that was a little off.
Okay. So now I'm going to add a little bit of craft to this. This is just to soften the white back here. So I'm going to add some craft. Not going to add it everywhere. It really does make a difference. Okay. Then I'm going to add another color, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of green in there. And I don't even think I'm going to, I don't know what's on this blending brush, but I'm just going to go with what's ever on here. I think it might be a little jelly bean green. Just blend a little bit of that in. Yeah, it's a little jelly bean left on. I did not want this to be dark. Okay, a little bit of that. And then I'm going to just go out on a limb, and I am going to get some innocent pink. Little innocent pink. I'm just going to do a little pink over where some of that that craft ink is. Just add a little bit in there.
How's the arm, Gina?
Doing good. Much better. Yeah. Much better. Okay. Go back over this with a little tan in there. Soften that a bit. Okay. So there is my background. Yeah, just a little bit of pink, you know, to pick up a little bit of pink that's in here. And then I'm taking that paper towel and I'm just going to rub all over the surface, because you see that ink coming off? That's because there's a lot of embossing powder on here, and ink won't stick to the embossing powder. And you want that embossing powder to shine, and you also don't want, when the recipient touches the card, for them to get ink on their fingers. But there's that background. That's really fun. So let's cut this one out with Master Layouts 2 as well, because those dies are right here, and we'll kind of stick with this layout to keep it simple. And I'll move up a bit so you can see this. And I think once you cut it out, it really, everything just gets more finished off. Yeah, I mean, it's an easy technique to try, and it's just every once in a while you need to try something fun where you don't have to invest a lot, you know? You can just, yeah, and you can get a very similar look with your rubber bands to this. All you have to do is kind of put them on more curvy on the block, and you can get a very similar look to that. So, but the brayer is fun, and brayers, can, like I said, can be used for other things like running ink over the Simon Hurley stamping foam, and just other fun inking techniques. Can I nail this again and make a perfect frame? I might be able to. We'll see. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you could, right, the gel plate, that's another thing, those jelly plate things, they're fun to use with a brayer. So a brayer is a great tool, no doubt. And it's super good with acrylic paint, because some people like to use acrylic paint with their stamps and stuff, and stencils, you can kind of paint through with acrylic paint on your stencils and your cardstock. So a brayer is not a bad purchase to make, that's for sure, if you don't have one. It can definitely be used for a lot of things. But if you're not interested in making a purchase and you've got a long acrylic block that you can use all the time, especially the Gina K one. I'm just giving myself a plug here because I really love our blocks. They're comfort blocks. They've got this little dent in the side. There's no sharp edges on this block anywhere, so they're very comfortable for my arthritic hands. And I don't drop the block because of that little indentation. And then with the grids, that really helps a lot. The size of the cardstock that I usually start with is a quarter sheet of 8.5 by 11. So it's usually 4 1/4 by 5.5, and then I cut everything down out of that. Unless I'm doing a 5 by 7 or I'm doing a mini slimline or something. Yeah, Blick has Brayers. They do. And I know they've got them at big box stores, and a lot of your local craft stores have them. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you love our comfort blocks. That makes my heart happy. Okay. Isn't that just a pretty background? You almost don't want to put anything over it, right? Maybe we will do a different layout for this so we can preserve some of that background. Although you'll still be able to see a lot of it. Okay. Can you use inside the block and cut out? Yeah, you definitely inside the black and cut out hello. Absolutely you can. You can cut anything out of the inside. In fact, a lot of times when I don't have these ovals pre-cut, I will cut that oval right out of that black panel and then just mount my, decorative panel on top. You would never know. It does kind of look foiled, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. So let's just see what this looks like. Is that going to take up too much? Do the same kind of layout.
Any word on the next release?
We're still waiting for our dies to arrive, so I don't have the date yet, but hopefully I'll have a date soon. Ooh, they're just big chunky flowers, aren't they? They're beautiful. And then this, I feel like it ties the background in right there. And then we could add a few little extra greens. Maybe some of those here. It's pretty just the way it is. I also really like this because it's tiny and you can stick it under there and like hide some of that or just cut it off. Oh, I like that. And then maybe we can add the hello on here. We can just put that on there. Or if we don't want to do a big die cut word, we could use one of these. This is from the poly glaze sheets. I've got a bunch of these little poly. Oh, this one though. A birthday wish for you that I cut out with the poly glaze. Maybe some of the gold with the gold. That would be really pretty. That would be really pretty just down here. Oh, I think I'm going to do that because that just kind of finishes it off really nicely. And then I could actually pop up some of these flowers. So let's do that while we have a couple minutes left. I'll get some of my foam tape here. Just cut a little chunk. I know some of the big box stores have done away with all their paper crafting supplies, but if I always have a choice, I always shop small or shop online small. I mean, I really like that. Oh, I should have put this all together first. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. Just move it over. I won't forget. But if you do something like that, you know you have to take it apart, just snap a picture of it with your cell phone. Or you can stick a little piece of press and seal on top to keep it all in place. But that's my second choice. I like the cell phone idea because I like to pop certain things up when I do these kinds of floral arrangements. But look at that. Isn't that fun, that background? So much texture. Yeah, we want to keep those small businesses going. Definitely. So I'm like really like eating up most of this oval with these, which I think is totally fine. And the oval, you can see, you could put the flowers right on the card, but having the oval as like a grounding space, it just sets the whole design apart from everything else going on. I think I'm going to trim this down. I'm going to trim this one leaf off. And you can do that with the ephemera. You don't need to use it all. This way we can just have a little bit of greenery up here like that. You could even use the other one if you want, like down here. Kind of have it stick out there. Okay, so we're going to start by putting all the greenery on, because I am going to pop up some flowers. I know there's not many small craft stores left. I think, you know, COVID really got a lot of people shopping online, and it is convenient, but it is nice to visit the locals once in a while. So if you have one, check them out. And if they don't have Gina K, tell them to get it. Because we want to be in all the stores.
So Colleen wants to know, when cutting a side fold card base, what orientation do you start with?
Cutting a side fold? What orientation do you start? Well, if I was cutting a side fold, I would cut, it's 8.5 by 11, right? Piece of cardstock. I would cut it at 5.5 inches. If I was cutting a tent style, I would cut it the long way at 4.25 inches. I think that's what you're asking, but I'm not sure. What orientation do you start with? You know, if this is your 8.5 by 11 sheet, you're going to cut it here for, let me back out a little bit. You're going to cut it here for a side fold. For a tent fold, you're going to cut it here. So I hope that helps. Okay, we'll zoom back in here and get these flowers on, and then we're going to give away these 2 cards, Tom. So if you're new to Gina K Designs and this is your first time, we usually give away the cards that I make in the live. And all you have to do is make a comment somewhere along the way, and you are automatically entered to win. So I'm going to stick this one under here. And this one I'm going to pop up on top. Move this down a little bit. Still a little. Okay. Welcome, everybody. We're getting close to the end of today's live, but we sure are glad that you joined us. I know there's other stuff going on out there on the internet today. There we go. And then we will just add this right here. So I can just put some tape on the back of this one. And we will pop that. Put it down lower. Put it down a little lower. I think that will be good. Right there. Put it down there. Okay. And so there's that finished card. And today it wasn't really about the cards. It was about the rubber bands. So I'm zooming in still. It was about the rubber band technique. So we got 2 fun rubber band techniques, one with a block and one with a brayer. So Tom, let's give these cards away. It doesn't need any bling, right? Because this one is so shiny. This one we might have been able to get away with a couple sequins, but for the most part, these are pretty decorative, spicy cards, and I like them.
Unknown caller.
Whoops.
Tom, you need to silence that completely.
I know. I
People-
never get that many calls. I'm so popular today. Okay, so
All right.
let's do a drum roll.
Okay.
Woo!
So the first card winner,
Fanfare.
this
Okay.
is the block rubber band card, acrylic block card.
Okay, Pam in Italiano, Giudici.
Oh,
Pam
Pam!
Giudici.
Yay, Pam! Congratulations!
Yay!
All right, and who's gonna get our
Solamente.
embossed card?
Okay, and the embossed faux foil card goes to Carol Whitby. Carol!
Hey, Carol, congratulations! Ladies, all you have to do is send your name and address to info@ginakdesigns.com, and I will get those right out to you. But everybody, this was so much fun. I hope you had fun and that you'll try this rubber band technique. Super fun way to create a lot of texture and interest in your backgrounds. And you don't really need anything special except a bag of rubber bands, an acrylic block, and if you want to get a little fancier, then you can pick up a brayer with an acrylic insert. Well, I will be back over the weekend with another 5-minute card video or a Foil It Friday video. I'm not sure which just yet. Depends on my timing. But I'm excited for the weekend. And then Tom and I will be back next Tuesday night with another Stampin' Chat Live. So we hope to see you there. In the meantime, stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much. And we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.